we were given a proposal by the Idea Lab that kind of read like differentiate yourself in a sea of sameness, and they seemed to understand what we were doing, and I didn't have to start from the ground up about teaching them everything.
Our website was in an awful state. It was very outdated. It was not user-friendly. It had bad content, old content. It wasn't responsive. It wasn't mobile friendly. We really needed a complete overhaul. So that's why I turned to Idea Lab.
The fact that the Idea Lab has allowed me to see things that I couldn't necessarily see myself. And I feel like our best interest has always been taken into consideration. Like the advice and counsel that we've gotten from the Idea Lab has always been top notch. And I felt like they never shied away from doing things that would take a little bit more effort. And at certain times, I would have been satisfied with lesser than they delivered, but they would deliver more than what the requirement was. And it always exceeded my expectations. And that's why I've really enjoyed and think it's been a valuable relationship for our company, and for me to have the ability to work with a group of people as well as I feel like I can work with the Idea Lab, that to me is invaluable.
For me, I wanted somebody that was going to be a long-term partner, and I knew that when I met with Idea Lab the first time that this wasn't going to be a one-off project. It wasn't just going to be design the website, see you later. I knew that when I met with them, they were going to, in the future, help us with SEO, SEM, all aspects of digital marketing, whether it was Google advertising, social advertising, even email marketing. So that's really what made me decide to go with Idea Lab. It's really a collaborative relationship. It's not a one-way street where, we're just dictating what we want them to do and they're checking off the box. It's really a two-way communication. They aren't hesitant to tell us, that's maybe not the way to go and suggest another route. And I really appreciate that.
Without using exact numbers, we were spending a decent amount of money on print media, and now I feel like the digital media isn't as expensive as the print media, and you have a greater sense of how much it's being seen, whereas the other stuff, it was tough to really understand whether people were just looking at a magazine and putting it away, and how much life was really in some of those. I had tried creating videos myself for YouTube of our product years ago, and I would get a few hundred hits and views, and I have it with the Idea Lab, and I think in 1 month that one of these things got like 20,000 views, and it just blew me away. And I know that it had something to do about putting it in Google's search engine or whatever, but you guys found a way to get this stuff out there, and it all started with the push towards video, which I was apprehensive about initially. And I think it's offered another dimension that we didn't have before. So, I think it's been great. It's opened up another door for us.
Pretty recently during the COVID shutdown was an interesting time for Harlequin. We were faced with budget cuts, even putting some staff on furlough. So it was uncertain times for all of us. And they really just were on the fly working with us through that whole entire time, where even as a company, we were trying to figure out what was going on operationally. We basically switched from a primarily B2B company to a B2C company, where our web store was our primary means of sales for a long time. And, that wouldn't have been possible without Idea Lab. And I really appreciate and value everything that they did during that time. And I think the really amazing part is I believe in 2019, we did $50,000 worth of total sales on our site. And in 2020, we did almost $2 million. And $1 million of that was done just in the month of April. And, it was definitely a complete team effort in every aspect.
I've always enjoyed going to the meetings, and it's been more or less a highlight of my monthly work schedule, because it got me out of the office, it got me into a different environment. usually would get a really good scone and a hot coffee from down the street, which is awesome. And, we would come back and there'd be a mix of casual conversation, but it was all kind of relevant to what we were talking about. And, you have a bunch of bright people in the same room, not including myself, and we would bounce things off of each other, and whether it was a person who was involved in web design or someone who, talking about the next email blast campaign or just the print media campaign, whatever, we would cover it all, and it kind of it helped pull everything together. And I thought it was it's always a good meeting. It's always productive.
They value the business of their clients. They're not just in it for themselves. And a win for us is a win for them. And I love that attitude. And that's the type of companies that I want to work with. And I'd say the second part of that is trust. I've worked with a lot of different agencies, and they're all, just out to get billable hours. And I never feel like that with Idea Lab. So, I'm always thinking that they're contributing to our goals, and not just, trying to sell us on something that they can help with in order to obtain those billable hours.